morning and double booked. So I'm gonna have to jump off real quick and talk to the lady we farm sit with
Oh, yeah.
and schedule, and then I'll be right back on. I'm sorry, y'all. I don't know what day it is yet. I have no excuse for that, but I'm working on it.
That's
How
a
you
pretty
do?
good one. Didn't realize today was Thursday.
Oh yeah, no, I just sent out the. I usually do this Wednesday night. I got no excuse. I got a power. I got internet. Everything's back in normal for the most part. But
Everything's back to normal but you.
yes, and
You're
we'll
looking good,
serve
brother. You're looking
Yeah.
alive. Woo!
whatever normal is. Yeah.
That's right. Yep.
All right. I'll see y'all in a few minutes.
Okay.
Okay. Uh, well, there we have it, folks. He is still here. Look at that. It's the three of us.
There's
Cheers.
three of us.
Get my cup there to do a cheers, but obviously it's not.
We're a trinity.
That's right.
I'm cheering with you, brother.
Oh, man.
Ah,
We're very cool here today. We've had a little cool front come in. It feels amazing. It was in the 40s here this morning.
In the 30s.
It's 58 now, but the high, I think, I don't know.
We're having high of 40, 46 or 47 today. 70s last week, and
Yeah, we'll be 71 today.
yeah. Did you guys get that storm yesterday? About 5
last
o'clock
night.
or 4
Yeah,
or
yeah.
something?
We got
my
downpour.
word. You know, you realize it was 2 Wednesdays ago that other storm happened.
Yeah,
Same time,
we followed it.
about an hour earlier.
Hmm.
Oh, this
We followed
storm.
it from Spokane.
Yeah.
Just heading. It just followed. It was going our direction. So we'd come in and out of it. Come on the front side of it, go to the back side of it. It was just weaving. It was kind of wild.
You were doing a
it was
dance,
pretty
weren't you, huh?
intense.
Core.
Yeah.
Dancing with the storm.
It hailed like crazy. I mean, thunder and lightning. The lightning was super close, actually. It was just right at the lake, which is not that far from the school. I mean, it was loud. And when it came, I mean, it's so, I'm at the school and they're having soccer practice out,
Oh man.
oh my word,
Right.
when it dumped. I mean, you just see the mass exodus. And I had two boys, they were junior high boys. They were running, to get cover where I was at. They were soaked. I mean, it was hail and like, nice hail balls and all that stuff. I'm like, but the most amazing rainbow. It
Yeah,
was, I
I
don't
saw
know if you
some.
saw
Yeah.
it. Yeah. The rainbow, it was a double. I haven't seen, it was a full double rainbow. Right. I looked out school. I took pictures of it, but it was just beautiful. I'm like, oh my gosh. And it lasted as long as the storm. Because the storm, I mean, where we got 5 minutes in, 5 minutes out.
Mhm.
And after that, about 15 minutes later, the sun came out, and it had all the clouds and stuff. And I'm like, I bet there's gonna be a rainbow. And I look out, the colors were like on your screen, like our screen. Just amazing. And a full
Nice.
one. And a full one, I could the full arc.
Awesome.
Yeah. And then the double. And it was dark enough to where you could actually see, even the colors on I mean, lightly, but colors of the whole and the full double rainbow all the way down too. Normally you don't see that. Normally it's just at the top you kind of see the double or where it's the brightest.
Hmm.
It's just amazing. I'm like, I'm taking all the double blessings we could get.
That's so
It was
cool.
such a cool promise. I was like, the storms come hard sometimes. Like
They do.
this year, I mean, we know this last month, storms all over the United States come hard and quick and fast. I mean, some of them, obviously, like the hurricanes and stuff like that, we've had all these, we know they're coming, but we don't know how hard they are. And so
Right.
it's on the other side, it's just that those are the promises, I mean, just kind of feels like, that kiss from the Father,
Hmm.
you know?
I was talking to the father, asking a question on the way in today to work, and just asking, as we're invited into stewarding weather, right? And stewarding creation, not lording over it like we
Yeah.
sometimes think, but more of, he was more reminding me, we're gardeners of creation. Means we speak to it, we bless it, we cause it to produce and cause it to do what it's supposed to do, and abound in its design. But one of the thoughts was, how do we know when it should rain hard or it should rain soft, right?
Right.
When the wind should blow mightily or it should be gentle? How do we know? I don't feel like I have a handle on, you know, I know what I'd like to have,
Yeah.
but what I'd like to have isn't necessarily what is necessary for a region, for an area. I could certainly focus in on my little space, my little land, my 5 acres, and say, this is what I'd like to have here. But I know better than to just ask for that, because what I ask for impacts my neighbors, impacts my region, this panhandle we live in. And I want to be aware of that when I'm talking and stewarding, whether what's necessary, what's important for us at this time. Do we need the hard rains? And I was asking the father, like, what's the value? What's the need for hard washing away rains? What do you use that for? What's the purpose of it? And I some natural ideas and some things about it, but uh why? It's not just, I know we often want just these gentle breezes and we want these soft rains, right?
Yeah.
But I think that sometimes that request is still self-centered in its design and wish.
Right.
We'd like it that way, right?
Yeah.
But there are times we need to have hurricanes. And I think it's hard to say, but I think that weather exists. And I think it exists on purpose, for a purpose. So, how and when is the question that I
Yeah.
really have to ask the Father as a steward of weather patterns. How and when do we use these more intense times for um, causing it to be a hurricane, causing it to be a powerful storm, versus speaking to it to be gentle?
Yeah. I don't know. It's so beautiful here right now. I mean, the autumn colors are
Oh
just
yeah.
vibrant right
Hmm.
now. More vibrant than the last couple years. It's just
Wow.
like amazing. And I told, I was talking to the father on my drive home, not yesterday, but the day before. I'm like, can we keep this for a while? Because I knew the rain was coming. And of course, the rain, when it rains and, it starts to knock the leaves off the trees and stuff like that. I'm like, Father, I really, really like to have these full colors. The trees are just beautiful right now. I mean, maple trees and all the different trees just full of these reds and yellows. Man, it's just beautiful. And so I was just putting my heart, I'm like, that's my heart's deal.
Hmm.
And then this storm came, and driving home, needles and leaves everywhere on the ground. I'm like, oh, Father, trees are now, like they got a bad haircut. I'm
Right.
like, oh, Daddy, this is not what I was wanting.
I want to enjoy it more. Yeah.
Yeah, like at least give us till the end of October, Like, I just want, because I mean, the landscape changes when the leaves are off. It's just like
Right. Mhm.
I mean, for me, my house, the views open up. We can see more of the mountain and more of the lake, that way, obviously, because the trees, all the leaves aren't there anymore, and so that's cool. But as far as my drive and stuff, it's just like, and of course, when the leaves are all on the ground and, on the streets, it's messy. Not that, I mean, that's good for when it's, on the land, because I mean, but when it's on the streets and everything, it just causes mess and everything. But I'm like, oh, I just want to enjoy this, just because we know the winters are long here, for one thing. And
Mhm.
so we know that, a month from now, snow is probably in our future, and which I don't mind, except for it's long, it's long. So it's just like, oh, okay, let's just, I'm, I'm thankful that we have the four seasons. I mean, California, we lived in
Two
Cali and different
season.
places.
Yeah.
It was like two
Yeah.
seasons, and not even snow, rain and heat, and so you don't get the fullness. So yeah, this is cool. So I'm enjoying it. But I'm trying to put my requests out, like you were saying, like, okay, what's the yeah. But we know the water system, or the ecosystem flows, yeah. And the hard water, obviously, I mean, you said it, gets rid of the crust and everything that needs to
Mhm.
get done. And we don't know what's in the atmosphere in between, what's coming from here and there. So
Right.
dealing with whatever's out there, and so there's a purpose for it all. It's just gets in our way. Or we actually get in its way. It's the other way around. We get in its way. Maybe. So
Mhm.
like,
Yeah. Nature's like, I've been doing this a long time, long
yeah,
before you were ever on the face of the earth. What do you
exactly.
mean? I'm bothering you. You get, this is what I do.
Yep. Yep. I know.
And then we have the
Well, you're
full
not convenient
moon.
anymore.
Yeah, and the moon's amazingly big right now. The other day looking out, like, oh my gosh, it
Hmm.
is beautiful.
The hunter moon.
Yep. And the kids are feeling it. Yesterday, like, yeah, so one of the teachers were like, for one thing, it rained, so they're inside recess, and so that gets, and then the full moon. I always, I mean, a couple years ago, even, I'm like, that is a hoax. It is not. It affects, and we find out now, from what we've been talking about, all the frequencies and everything, that it's a
Hmm.
real deal. There's a pool, and I don't know why it changes your moods though. I mean, it causes the kiddos to go, I mean, just I don't know why that is, but yeah, the moon
And
and the
it's a big, big swirl, right? It's a swirl of
yeah,
a bunch of different factors. You've got the actual physical science to it,
yeah,
but then you also know that it's also a highly spiritual time
yes,
frame
yes,
where the cold activity is involved. So that's changing the atmosphere. There's a lot of things, physical and spiritual, that go operate around moon
yeah,
cycles. And so you get that whole swirl going on, at the same time. It just amps things up.
yeah,
Trying to figure out which to attribute, is this a purely spiritual influence, or are we talking about, at the individual person level? Are you being physically influenced by just the pulls, the gravitational pulls, the electromagnetic fields that are being
yeah,
created, increased, amplified by this cycle? Or is there also something really pulling you in the spiritual
yeah.
amplification side?
Now, do you think this just came to my mind as far as the food that we all eat because of the metals and aluminum in there. If we're in a magnetic field, you think that there's that
I
pool even
wouldn't, yeah,
all
yeah.
that positive and
Chemical
negative.
imbalances are
Yeah,
magnified
yeah,
during that time. Sure. That makes sense.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Interesting. I see you have your loaded music deal up there. I know that you have your new
New,
symbol,
new logo. Yeah.
new logo,
Business logo.
which we've know you by that, but yeah, Segula. Yeah.
Yep. And slowly rebranding the different platforms I'm on. Um, yeah, I finally decided to land on that as my official logo, right? And for the business. And since that's really kind of the now that the podcast is starting to ramp up more, been making that kind of more prominent. So
Yeah.
it's fun. I still have yet to really write out a whole article on it because the I love the fact that it's not just a logo, but it's my name, right? This my spiritual name. It contains this massive story behind why it looks, and and the shapes that are chosen, and the living letters that are intertwined and entangled in it. So the whole image itself tells a whole story,
Yeah.
and maybe sometime soon I'll get around to actually writing out the whole thing, the whole process, the whole meaning behind it. We do a podcast on it. But I think for me, I think the first time in my life where I've had something that would be akin to like your coat of arms in the period of the chivalry knights and castles kind of time frame, right? Where your family crest and the whole history and the meanings by everything that existed, that was really prominent that's that time. Not so much anymore. I mean, people use logos and they have their name, but it doesn't have the depth and the history behind it. In general, I'm generalizing, of course, but for my own life, this is probably the first time I've had something that not just is a logo and a name, but it stretches back, it reaches into my design, the scroll of my life, you might say, that Yahweh spoke over me even before I was even knowledgeable of it. And he has helped unlock purpose, mission, uh, drive, ambition, all that through the introduction of this symbol, and how it's really reaching in time to me as a spirit being, reason why I came into the earth, and helps kind of give me, and then that's what those things do, right? They provide a anchor, um, a standard, right, to look at, especially when you're overwhelmed by circumstances, by distractions. You're not sure which direction to go, what choices to make. You look back at the standard, and you say, oh, this is who I am. This lines up to that, or this doesn't line up to that. And it helps bring, focus back into purpose and decision making. And I think that's really important for all of us to have something like that. Otherwise, we're just blowing around by the wind and the most current fad or fashion or um, focus, of culture. So I'm excited about it. I don't think that I mean, it's for me. Really. If anything, if I talk about it, it's for other people to say, oh, maybe I should do something for myself. But I mean, I'm excited about it because of what it does for me. I don't really care how it impacts other people's lives because it's not really to leverage anything in anybody else's life. like a new teaching or a new protocol or whatever. This is
Yeah.
just something that helps me stay focused over a time span, over years, and I
Right.
think that's exciting. It brings value to why I live and breathe in the earth. Beyond the fact that I'm a son, right? Beyond the fact that I'm part of his house.
Yeah.
And so,
Pretty cool. Pretty cool.
yeah.
There you go. Yes, Tina.
Does the full moon give you energy or make you feel like you have less energy?
That is a good question. I don't know. I'm kind of full of energy most of the time anyways. So I think I stay that way. Um, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm pretty level. It's just the way my makeup is, personality, emotional makeup. So if there's anything, it's such a slight blip that I wouldn't really. It's mostly that I wouldn't know that it's in effect because of everything that's going haywire around me, right? Like the dogs are acting weird, or animals are acting weird, or people acting weird, or weather patterns shift. Other than that, if I didn't have those markers, I probably would just say, it's just another
Too.
part of the
It's more of
cycle of the
people
moon coming
speaking
through.
that out is the only reason why I pay attention, you know, especially, the school teachers always say something when there's a full
Right,
moon, it's just like, okay,
right.
I didn't, I know no difference, for the most part. I mean, the kids for me are pretty much the same one day or the other. There's not a like, dang. So yeah, I don't
Dr.
know.
Charnel she'll get people together that wants to do a parasite cleanse. And she will do it on the full moon because she said they come out from their hiding, they're drawn out,
Oh,
magnetized out with the full moon. And it's just important if you want to do one, that would be a really great time to do a toxin clean out and a parasite cleanse
oh
because
my
of
word, I could just see them all in our bodies just
and that could be part of what changes people and makes them a little more irritated. So I'm sure she could speak on that a lot, give a good bit of information.
yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, I don't know. I just go with the flow. Oh,
Well, part of the, I think part of the going, like what your attitude, Paul, is like going with the flow. I think, you know, we get used to living under a different government as being one of his, being set apart. And there's a covering that oh, for lack of a better word, take for granted. We're accustomed to. This is how he treats his family. This is how he covers, this is how he protects, right? So we sit under his covering, and we're not smoked. We're not affected by the sun. We're not affected in the daytime and the moon and the night. Right? Pulled from the Psalms, 121, I think it is. But we sit under that so often, right? That we don't realize that he's doing stuff without us being consciously aware of it. And so we see all this impact happening in the earth, in our culture, and the people around us, and we're like, it's not happening to me. So we don't think that, oh, we're actually sitting under the protection, and what's happening to them isn't affecting me. And I think it happens more often than we realize, that we just say, it's a thing, I guess, for people, but it doesn't bother me.
Right.
Like with the whole movie Faces of the Moon, right? if there is a true negative impact or a off-kiltering effect by the moon that cultures is feeling, it's, I suspect, greatly diminished when we sit under him. That impact isn't the same. And day in, day out, year in, year out, and we're experiencing the covering. Sometimes we take that for granted and not realize that he really is watching over us. And what is smiting our neighbor isn't smiting us because of the promise that he cares for his own. He takes care of his own.
Yeah.
Just like children who take for granted, that their parents cover them, protect them, feed them, clothe them.
Yeah.
And they just go about their day and like, this is just my life. Not realizing that the next house over, a child has a completely different life because of the parents and how they're caring for. I think there's something to be said about that. And I think as children of Yahweh, we sometimes forget how much he really shelters us.
Yeah. That's awesome. That's pretty cool. Yeah.
Living in a different dimension, living above the sun, moving from glory to glory, living in a higher dimension than the one that is here, does change stuff for us when we practice living there,
Yes.
realizing that this is not our home. We're in the world, but not of the world.
Yeah.
I know it is. It's pretty cool. Pretty cool. Yeah. Now my world and my dream world has been a little bit more of the crazy side as of late. I mean, literally, and my dreams have been pretty intense and not unsettling, but I did wake up yesterday and I haven't normally, I mean, I've been having some pretty intense dreams and I've been remembering them. Like I'm waking up, it's the alarm that wakes me up and I'm fully in this dream, And yeah, I mean, yesterday I woke up and for some reason, I was in this big, like, I think it was like an underground gymnasium. It's like this big old gym, and I was one of the captains of the basketball team, and somebody I knew, uh, a lady, she was the other, like a coach. I was more like a coach, but for me, I was like I was going to be playing in the game plus coaching, and so I was. We were in the midst of picking teams, and but there was a bunch of people there. It was female and male, so everybody was involved. So it wasn't just a guys team or girls team. And so we were in the midst of picking teams, and the lady, I knew her, or I know her, but when I woke up, I can't remember for the life of me who she was or who she is. But in my dream, I mean, she was a person that I knew. I do know that. She was a person that I know and is alive and living right now. But so um, it was going to be my pick next. And we were walking and everybody was on the court. And just make sure you pick fair. And, I'm like, that was my heart, was to make fair teams. We were going to go back and forth, and I knew the next person I was going to pick was because I had no height on my team. So I think I was one of the, I'm 5'9". I need people that are 6 foot, get up there on the 6 foots, get the rebounds or whatever. And there was this black lady that was athletic and tall, and she was my next pick. And so I go on the court, and the craziest thing, I am carrying this bag of either huckleberry or elderberry fruit. Yeah, I knew it wasn't blueberries because they were bigger. Blueberries are bigger, even though I know blueberries can get small, but I knew they weren't blueberries. So they were either elderberries or huckleberries. And I have this bag in my right hand. And I was on the court, I was walking on the court and I was protecting this bag, you know. And so I go and I'm just about ready to pick. And mind you, I just told this, we were friends too, that, we're going to make this fair. Well, she comes over and out of turn even and picks this black lady, or the one that I was going to pick. And I felt my heart just go, it's just like it was my turn and I told you I was going to make fair teams. You already have height on your team. You don't need this one. And so she took it, and instead of turning around, I felt that my emotions in my dream, like you know what, that really ticked me off. But in there, I wasn't going to dishonor her and make a fuss about it, you know? So I turn and I go, and then basically the alarm went off right after that. And I was in that mode physically. I mean, I woke up irritated. I don't wake up irritated most of the time. I don't wake up, but I was in the dream. And so my wife, the alarm goes off and we usually like lay for a couple minutes and then we do some breathing exercise. We go through a YouTube thing that we've been doing this for about over a year now. And it's just 11 minutes of breathing and stuff like that. I fell back asleep. I normally don't do that. And I went back in the dream. And the thing was, I don't remember if the dream that I showed you or that I told you was before, like the picking part was like after I fell back asleep, for that 5 minutes. Then my wife gets up and she goes, "You could stay asleep," and here I am, now I'm fully awake, but it just put me in this mood. I usually don't get that way. I'm usually like, but it kind of, I had to work myself out of this whole like, because it was so real. And I was like wondering like, okay, Father, what was the deal? And what was the deal with the fruit, the huckleberries or what was that? I was so protective of it in my hand, and it felt real. I mean, the squishiness of I didn't want to squish the bag or anything. It was just like, I don't know. But I was telling my wife about it last night. I'm like, man, I don't know what it was. It kind of threw me for a loop, like normally that doesn't happen. And I'm like, okay, what was the Father saying? Or what was, I don't know. It was just an interesting deal. I'm like, okay, so did I really need this lady? I was trying to rely on, the height and, whatever, and she's going to help me on the team. Was I'm like, I don't, I had no clue. I hadn't even got to play the game yet, like at least get me in the game. So I don't know. And then today I woke up, some kids were trying to steal my wallet. And I came out of a party type scene. I knew it was time to go home. My car was a little bit of ways, and so I had to walk, and it was complete dark. And so I'm running to get to my car, and these kids on bicycles, which you couldn't see, it was so dark that I couldn't see, but I could hear them, and I knew that they were behind. And there were three kids, and they basically trapped me in this thing. And before I knew it, they had taken my wallet. And I mean, I physically, I'm like, oh, they took my wallet. So I turned and one of the kids, it was like a high school kid had dropped my wallet. And so I chased after the kid and he had put it in his sweatpants. And I did. I grabbed him, grabbed his pants and pulled them off and got my wallet back. They were gray sweatpants. That's all I know. Gray sweatpants. The kid was, I mean, I just went, pulled those things off, went, got my wallet, and went on my way, and the alarm went off. Don't take my, oh, and I opened it up. And the crazy thing was, I opened it up, and it was almost like these kids were, it was bad. It felt like, I felt like these kids were like communists, like Hitler type. You know, they had the emblem and the everything. So I looked at my wallet, and there was an emblem on there, and I'm like, and it wasn't theirs, but it was that. You know, I'm like, okay, what's the deal? Be taking my wallet. I've had people. I've always gotten my wallet back in any of my dreams. I've always gotten my wallet back. And I've always had to, this one actually wasn't, I didn't actually have to chase them that far. I just couldn't believe I just stripped that kid's right sweats right
That's
off.
hilarious.
And I'm like, dude, that's what you get for taking my wallet. But it was my wallet that I have right now. I mean, my literal, I'm like, it was a little thicker. I'm like, I don't carry as much stuff as I'm like, yeah, Lord, thank you.
That's a pretty wild dream, man.
I know, but they've been getting like, I mean, it's literally like, it's just real. I mean, we just know our subconscious and what it's doing, and who knows what
Right.
dimension I was in and where I was at. I mean, it's just like, how does your subconscious come up with these themes and these, I mean, literally just, and I'm seeing it from, me, you know, from my eyes point, it's just like the reality
Yeah.
of it. I like, how does our bodies and everything just, it's real. It's like, and it is, but like, dang, pretty awesome stuff. But it has just been amping up lately, just amping up. I'm like, all right, Father, what are you doing? I don't know. Thanks for joining me in my dream for 8 minutes. I've been talking for 8 minutes in my dream.
Yeah, I'm not sure what to do with it.
Yeah.
I used to
Like,
go down the road of just let's figure out what it means, and I'm like, I'm not sure I care now.
normally I
I mean,
don't.
I do care for you, but I'm like,
Yeah.
there's so much, there's just so much swirl and meaning right now in the earth, and I think that's just, what I was thinking was, we're in this transition of one age into the other, and just the
And I'm holding on.
overarching idea that everything is
Yeah.
being turned, kind of like those movies where they see like the gravity shift from one, and in that transition from one direction of gravity to the other, everything gets turned upside down and floating, and you end up on your head up the other side, and that it's kind of that feeling spanning, I don't know, decades. Things are
Yeah.
getting more and more intense, and so it's hard to know which way is up, which way is down sometimes with this shifting of the ages, and where is this going to go, and how is it going to manifest. That even like just dream state, dream world, like, where do we go with this? How am I going to interpret this in a new age kind of thing? Yeah. So it's
No,
much more fluid filling these days.
yeah. I'm such a
That
fighter in
stuff.
my dreams.
Mhm.
I love it. I don't end up, I'm always okay in my dreams, even though things, happen. I'm always okay at the end, when I wake up. I don't wake up tired, except for the other day. Yesterday, I was just like, okay, this is a different feeling than I normally, but I am full of energy in my dreams. I am full of exercise. I am full of running and doing, you know, whatever. I mean, I should be sore every day I wake up with all the exercise and everything that I'm doing, you know. But it's I mean, yeah, it's just an interesting deal. I mean, full on plots. How do you know, how does your mind come up with, I mean, all these people. I have so many people in my dreams all the time. I mean, crowds and people I'm with, you know, and it's just like I don't know these people. I've never seen them in my life, but yet my body, my mind, and everybody is creating these characters and these real people that I'm having conversations with, and you know, and it's just like, okay, you know, it's and sometimes I like that world more than this world. You know what I mean? I like, you know, yeah. It's like, this is interesting. I don't know. Yeah,
Like, what do you do with it? Right? I
I
mean,
know.
what's the value of it? What's the purpose of it?
Yeah,
Why is it doing what it's doing?
yeah. Because it's a whole different reality. I mean, my physical body's not involved. I'm at rest, you know, I'm at rest, but the subconscious and whatever other realms I'm in are active and moving and having their being in. And so yeah, I mean, it really is like being in a video game, you know, and I'm the
Mhm.
main character in this video game
Yeah.
and I'm playing the
Put on
game.
those VR goggles.
Yeah.
You close your eyes and you put on VR goggles and you're in another
Like,
state
you know,
of existence.
I know. It's like, wow, it's pretty cool.
Yeah. Right. I
Uh,
mean, I think in the past years, I've dug into my own experience and research of the subconscious.
yeah.
I've come to this not finalized conclusion, but growing conclusion that the creativity that is of my nature, what I do, what I create, you know, is formed and formulated within the subconscious and comes through the imagination gateway,
Mhm.
where it frames up belief systems, it frames up what I might say, what I might think, how I might behave in the conscious dimension. And so it has such a huge influence and weight upon the conscious and my interaction relationally with people and the world around me in the physical. But I don't give it enough credence. I don't give it enough value to actually take some time to work on it, time to shape it, to go in and make it produce the way I want it to. Um, you know, what is what is the subconscious doing, in my sleep to affect my future? And what is it doing when I'm awake to affect my now? Right. That those are questions that I don't fully have an answer for, but I'm intrigued by it. I'm intrigued that I could go in, not just let it be squirrely and do whatever it wants to do, you know, and just be under its influence, but not be able to manage that influence.
Yeah.
But go in and actually affect change, let it stay wild, let it be what it needs to be, but also govern over it, steward it, shape it so that letting in the good stuff, kicking out the bad stuff, cleaning up. So, I mean, and this background here is kind of was an early design of just getting my mind uh, to a place where I'm thinking about the wildness, the alien landscape of my subconscious that I don't go and visit, but now I need to. I haven't done it in the past, but now I need to discover the frontier. And that's kind of one of the taglines I threw on my head. It's the next frontier, not space, but the subconscious.
Yeah.
Is this wildness about it, this frontierness about it that very, very, very few people consider exploring. But yet it has such a huge impact on their decision making, their choices, their day in, day out, normal life. They don't know that it's constantly impacting and shaping who they are. And so they just let it be whatever, they mitigate it or they belittle it. It's just a pizza dream. It's just something that happens to me. I don't really affect change to it. I don't want to figure it out. Maybe I don't
Right.
think they can. I don't know. I didn't think I could, you know,
Yeah.
but I'm starting to shift that thought process. Now I think I can. I think I can go in with Christ and say, hey, let's go explore this vast wilderness, this vast frontier, this multi-universe within me. And let's see what we can do, to bring order to it. As creative beings, right? We speak to chaos to bring order to it, light to darkness, order to chaos. And I think this is one of those frontiers, those universes that is in our responsibility, our purview to go and speak order to, and not just let it run rampant or do whatever it wants to do.
Right.
And I think that's intrigues me enough to want to press into it and explore what that looks like.
Yeah. I wonder if our subconscious, I mean, I'm just thinking, it becomes alive when we sleep, we rest physically, but when we're awake, is that our subconscious resting time where it's at rest and I mean, I
I
could
kind of
go,
see it.
oh, go ahead.
I actually kind of see the subconscious coming online, like even more so, right? Because something that I've kind of had an opinion about for a while, but that we go to sleep, we enter the night season, right?
Right.
Our bodies rest, but our souls are awake. When our spirits are never asleep, right? Um, but our body rests, and we go across this threshold into
Yeah.
the night season, where we go sit in the mysteries and the secrets of our Father. We discover the wildness of His realms and dimensions. Um, I say I kind of consider it as our our what's the word I'm looking for? Koshik, right? It's the place of creation, the place of the birthing place of creative ideas and forming something out of nothing.
Right.
And in doing that, a lot of people don't think this way or know this. And so when they go, they're actually um, being met at the gateway by spirits that have content towards them and have devious designs towards stealing from them when they go in and when they come back out, especially on the back end of it, right? When they come back into the day,
Right.
what have you brought out? I want to steal that from you.
Yeah.
And I think that's what night terrors are about. I think anything that does with nightmares um, are that attempt to steal the inheritance of a divine being, son of God, child of God, with the intention of stealing from them what they're supposed to bring out of the night season, what they created in the subconscious, in the koshet, what they went to get of their inheritance to bring it into the latter day and manifest it. I think these entities, malignant entities, sit at the gateway and exact a tribute, exact a tariff to
Right.
gain or to steal from the inheritance that's brought out of that mystery, out of that secret, and then rob that son, that daughter of manifesting what was theirs to manifest in the physical, in the day. And I think that's kind of what the working idea for me is. What are you doing to set that up, right? What are you doing to facilitate that sort of robbery before you go in? You
Yeah.
know, before you lay your head down, are you setting up a entrance or a gateway where those things can sit in when you go in,
Right.
and then when you return, they're there to exact, tribute. And I
Yeah.
think that's something that I've had in my head for a while, and trying to see what that experience is, get my head wrapped around in my own
Right.
reality, my own experience of night seasons,
Yeah.
and see if that plays out to be true. It makes sense to me that it does occur. And I think that in theory, I think that is potential reason why people don't experience, breakthrough in their life.
Right.
They don't experience the abundance and the prosperity that they could probably have, because whatever that they're pulling out of that koshak, out of the creative mystery, the seedbed of their inheritance, gets robbed from them when they wake up. And so I'm intrigued to go after that, to find out more, to start experiencing that in my own life
Yeah.
by making changes, prior to bed. What am I putting in front of my face? What am I listening to? How am I speaking? How am I framing up that doorway just prior to entering into,
Right.
the other dimension?
Yeah. It's good. It's good. Maybe
Well,
I
it's a
should.
working theory, at least. Working that reality. Everybody's experience might be different, but
Yeah. Maybe I need to be a video game designer or something, since it feels like that sometimes in my deal. I'm like, yeah, I feel like I'm in a lot of times having fun.
yeah.
Who knows? I'm certainly not calm and Eddie steady. My personality stays the same on that side too. So, but I'm thankful that I remember my dreams, or, I mean, at least partly, you know, a lot of people don't. Well, I don't dream. I don't do. They do dream. They just don't. It doesn't come to the forefront when they wake up a lot of times. Um, my wife's a dreamer. She's always been, and her dreams are vivid. And she has them all the time. I would tell her, you need to write these things down. But I mean, they're so detailed and whatnot. She just doesn't, and that's not her thing. So, but yeah. We're
Yep.
dreamers. We're a bunch of dreamers.
Nicole and I were talking yesterday about how we're programmed to change. We've programmed ourselves to change according to who we're around. If you're around people, she was just noticing, and they were talking about, she was talking to some other people. If you're around people that curse a lot, you'll be tempted to add cursing into your vocabulary. Or if you're talking to someone that's a little more educated, using better language, that you'll start pulling some other words that aren't your normal vocabulary. And you do all this without actually thinking about it.
Mm.
Or she's noticed if she's around maybe a childhood friend that she's got a lot of relationship with in the younger days, when they talk, they almost revert back to who they were and not who they are now. So I thought that was kind of interesting that we've been programmed ourselves to not always be who we are in front of every person that we come in contact with, that we're in relationship with. We can shift and change. And it's the same thing that, well, that's why, your mother would say, watch who you're hanging with. Birds of a feather gonna flock together. Because you can be tempted to, instead of being the influence of them, that they influence you.
Mhm.
So I
Right.
sometimes think if someone's doing awesome yard work and they're planting flowers and being creative, that inspires me to want to go home and be creative in my yard. If someone's crocheting, it inspires me to, oh, I need to crochet. Or if they're painting with paint, doing art, I want to get my paint stuff out. So it's just like other people do inspire you on different levels and different ways,
Right.
even
Yep.
to your personality of who you are and how you use your language with them and who you are around them.
Yep. It does make sense.
Yeah, it's a connectivity thing, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, it could be a pro and it could be a con,
Right.
given the circumstances and the heart motivation, right? I think of what Paul in Paul the Apostle says, I'm a Roman to Romans, Greek to Greeks, Jew to Jews, in the sense that it's not like he's just trying to tickle their ear and be what, they want him to be, but he morphs, he shifts a little bit in order to have an inroad into the hearts and minds of the people that he's speaking to. And I think that's part of the desire to connect with people. And in general, I think we're designed to connect at the heart level. Whether we do it right, perfectly or not, it doesn't matter. Our makeup as a species is designed to connect with one another, to be quantumly entangled. And that manifests in just the way you said it, this person is exhibiting something that's attracting me, and it's causing me to want to connect with them. It's not even about the crochet, maybe it's not even about talking sports, but this, at the deeper core level, it's the desired connectivity with this being, this other person that is part of the same species of makeup, of design, that we want to come into communion with, at the core level. And the way it manifests depends on any given day, what the
Right.
interest might be. But at the core level, I want to communicate and connect at a heart level, because it's just the way we are. It's, there's no rhyme to the reason kind of stuff. There's no functional purpose per se, other than just we are relational beings desiring relational connection. And out of that, because out of that things are produced, right? Like, let's create a club because we like to do something together. And the next thing we know, we're producing and creating something far much
Right.
greater than what we would do by ourselves. And so it's this duality of desire for relational connection and knowing that out of the outflow of that interaction, something is produced.
Yep.
And if continue to give more time and energy to it, something great over the time frame of years, you'll create this legacy of something. And I think that speaks to the nature and desires of our own Father in heaven and Yeshua, that they imparted that into us as a purpose and design for our connectivity with them. And as a family come together and do some pretty creative, awesome, mind-blowing acts of creativity in creation. I'm using creative a lot. Need to find a word for it. But yeah, I think that's kind of interesting that human dynamic is innate in everybody.
Yep.
To find some connectivity on some level of interest or desire, just so we could have that interaction, that relationship.
Well, it is the top of the hour.
Yes, it is. What about that?
It's fun relationshiping with everybody.
Yeah. Good chat with you guys.
Yeah. So
Thank you for hanging with us. If you come to hang out or if you come later, we're
Yeah.
just chit chatting about whatever. Sometimes it goes deep, sometimes we keep it light.
Yep. So until next time. Love you guys. Shalom.
Bye.
We'll talk to you there.